This right here is one of the best goaltending prospects in the National Hockey League, and absolutely the best Montreal Canadiens goaltender to be in the future. Say what you want about Jacob Dobeš, say what you want about Montembeault, say what you want about any of these guys, but Jacob Fowler is in a class of his own when it comes to hyped up Montreal Canadiens goalies. 20 years old, from Melbourne, Florida, USA, 6'2", 214, left-handed catching goaltender drafted in a very nice spot in 2023, 69th overall. He was a guy taken all the way out of the Youngstown Phantoms in the USHL. He then proceeded to have a very good college career in Boston. 9.26 and a 2.14 goals against average in 39 games as a freshman. He won all 3 of his World Junior games, despite posting up an .889 save percentage. And then he had a .940 save percentage as a sophomore with BC, 25-7-2 record, 7 shutouts, a 1.63 GAA, all in 35 games played. Say what you want about there being a bunch of other Montreal Canadiens prospects dominating the collegiate scene right now, but Jacob Fowler last year was literally top 3 in the nation when it came to save percentage. And there was really no stopping what Fowler was able to do. He then signed on with Laval. He was able to play 3 games in the regular season, posted up a .914 save percentage there, and then had 8 games in the Laval Rocket playoff run, posting up a .902 save percentage there. Make no mistake about it, the Rockets' season last year, with Jacob Fowler getting injected at the end, was a shot of energy. This guy was so good, so confident, so calm in net, and that has continued into 25-26, as he's gone out there with a .921 save percentage and a .211 goals against average in 10 games played. 3 shutouts, 6-4-0 record. There's so much to like out of Jacob Fowler and his game. But what if I told you there is a conversation that we could be having about whether or not Jacob Fowler could be going down a similar treacherous path as a Montreal Canadiens goaltender from yesteryear? Let's go out there and read this article from TVA Sports, published by Kevin Dubé on November 20th, 2025. Jacob Fowler is smoking hot in Laval. The Montreal Canadiens must not repeat the same mistakes that they made with Caden Primo. Now, just for reference, Caden Primo is a guy in the AHL with the Carolina Hurricane system. He's playing for the Chicago Wolves. He had spent some time with the Toronto Maple Leafs this season. He had an .838 save percentage and a .430 goals against average, despite the fact that he went 2-1-0. Quite the miracle that he was able to pull out wins in those games. But Caden Primo was nothing more but an AHL guy who's maybe a little too good for the A and not good enough to play NHL hockey. As we had seen last year, he was a very solid Laval Rocket option in the regular season, but just could not hold it together with Montreal. .836 save percentage and a .470 goals against in 11 games with the Habs last year. Previously posting up a .910 though, so obviously there was a lot of optimism with Caden Primo and what he was able to bring. But Primo is 26, drafted by Montreal in 2017, so you compare Fowler to Primo 6 years apart in terms of the draft eligibility, and Primo had a pretty similar development path to Fowler. Drafted out of the USHL, he inevitably went to the NCAA. He was really good in the NCAA, and then he went over to Laval and Montreal the year after. Now, there's a little bit of a difference there because Primo was played with the Canadiens for a pretty significant amount of time as a first, second, third year pro. He got 2 games, 4 games, 12 games in the seasons he had spent in pro hockey with the Montreal Canadiens, and you can say that maybe it was just a little bit too much, a little bit too soon for this guy, especially considering the drop-off. You can say he had a really good year, that's correct, but it's easy to look at this profile and say, yeah, no, Caden Primo was never really able to take his NHL stardom to new heights. He just had this profile that he was maybe only hitting once in a while, and then inevitably he would fade back and he would get more setbacks, and now he's a primary AHL guy. It's been tough for Cayden Primeau. And this article by Kevin Dubé goes out there and says that the Canadiens should not make the same mistakes with Jacob Fowler. What exactly are those mistakes? Well, let's go out there and read. Laval Rocket goaltender Jacob Fowler isn't doing much to lower the high expectations placed on him by both the Canadiens organization and its fans. And the goaltending situation with the big club raises a question. Could he be promoted to the NHL sooner than expected? In 9 starts with the Rocket, he has been very, very good. In short, things are going well for the Canadiens' third-round pick in 2023. But how well? Is he really ahead of the typical development trajectory of a goaltender of his status? To try and answer this question, the author of these lines called former Journal de Montreal Quebec journalist Gilles Moffat. In addition to having had a brilliant career in sports media, Gilles is first and foremost a former goaltender. He played in the NCAA and professionally for a few years, and also is a passionate fan of the position. Until 2023, you could read his goaltending columns in our pages, and he also headed up the Goalies World magazine for many years. In short, he's seen and analyzed a lot of goaltenders in his career. And for him, Gilles Moffat says that one conclusion is clear: Jacob Fowler should not be brought back to the NHL this season. Now, that, of course, can be seen as a hot take. You can say, well, the Canadiens suck goaltending-wise. Montembeault and Dobesh have not been good. You want to go with the best option available. Maybe the best option available at this point is this guy. He is that solid in the AHL so far. He has sparked so much confidence, and a lot of Canadiens fans are excited to see him. Not saying that they'd be tracking his flights like Ivan Demidov, but there could be a really good spark of adrenaline if Jacob Fowler gets placed in an NHL role. But that's exactly where the article goes out there and says, hey, it's not really a good idea. Don't think that the goaltending expert is making this statement because he doesn't believe in the young American's potential. Quite the opposite. However, experience has taught Moffat one thing. The worst mistake to make with a young goaltender is to rush him. Let him learn the ropes in the AHL, he told us. Leave him alone down there. If an emergency situation arises, we can consider recalling him, but otherwise, ideally, he should play at least this entire season in the AHL. Moffat gives the example of Cayden Primeau, who was shuttled from Laval to Montreal far too often for his liking, preventing him from truly preparing to become a regular NHL goalie. It can take up to 150 games in the AHL for a goalie to be truly ready. They have to learn to handle all kinds of situations. When you're the number one goalie in the NHL, the pressure is on you. You're the one who gets the blame if things go wrong. If the team is going through a slump, it's up to you to change the momentum. That's not something you learn about in hockey school. That's why before you bring up a goalie like Fowler, you have to make sure he's experienced all of that in the minors and that he's ready to face it in the NHL. Now that's a pretty good take, honestly. I like it a lot, and I think there is value in keeping Fowler down there. For our former colleague, the current hierarchical structure is perfect for Fowler's development. What you don't want is to have a guy stuck behind a top-tier goalie for too long, like Corey Schneider when he was stuck behind Luongo in Vancouver. In Montreal, the team has 2 NHL-caliber goalies, but they're not untouchable, so Fowler can develop at his own pace and arrive when he's fully ready. In November 2023, exhaustive research allowed us to determine, on average, starting goaltenders in the NHL entered the league at 22, often as backups, and then became established starters around the age of 25. Fowler will be 22 in November of next season. Yeah, I think we should probably get a little bit of a reminder there. Jacob Fowler's 20 years old. He's young, and there's so much time for this guy to inevitably develop and make his NHL debut. Unlike Cayden Primeau, who by the time he was 20, he was already going out there and getting NHL games. It was a pretty quick progression for Primeau. Was he 20 or 21? I think he was 21. August 1999. Jacob Fowler's November 2004. Yeah, so 5 years of difference age-wise, 6 years of difference draft season-wise. That makes sense. But Cayden Primeau, unfortunately, was not able to become the guy that we thought he would become. Jacob Fowler, we're hoping, has a little bit of a different direction long-term. With this in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of Jacob Fowler sticking around in Laval for the long term, at least for this season? Do you agree with this idea? Do you not? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.